Hello, everyone. I am on my way to DC for the Be Free 2024 protest, and I just left my house, so got a long trip ahead of me, about 3 hour drive, give or take, because traffic could be a bitch, especially where I live in Virginia here, because I got bridge tunnels to go through, and then got to get through the traffic, Fredericksburg, and then DC and all that. So sometimes that can be a little ooh. So, but I just left. Got to get me some breakfast and head on down to the protest. And I will catch up with you when I get there. Well, I've made it to DC now. I got stuck in traffic. I am so late. I should have been here between 9:30 and 10. Instead, it's 11 o'clock, and I'm just now getting here. I gotta find somewhere to park. Oh, I hate traffic sometimes. Accidents. Accidents really kill you when you're trying to get somewhere, especially when you have a truncated timetable. So I'll catch up with you when I am parked and walking in. All right, I'm parked. I'm walking in, and I see the place now. Let me flip the camera and I'll show it as I walk up. So there it is over there. And I am heading over that way. Oh, finally.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. All right. So listen, for those of you who don't know, I'm Ivy, and I'm grateful to be here today. I was fortunate enough to work
James.
with the founder.
I'm from your Discord group.
Sure, how are you?
So it's
How you
definitely
doing?
my
Nice to
honor
meet you.
be here.
How you doing?
And I want to say thank you to the founder, and thank you to all of you for showing up.
It took me forever
For
to get here.
yourselves,
Don't talk to me.
standing up for your truth.
Horrible truth.
And
I got
hopefully
stuck in
standing
an
up for
accident
those
on the
who are
interstate on the way
contemplating or
here.
thinking about ending their lives, right? So we are a representation of those who are left behind, forced to carry those burdens, forced to deal with those memories and those reflections. So thank you for standing up for them, because they need us, okay? They may be gone, but they're not forgotten, right? And the Watchtower would like us to believe that when you're gone, you're gone. They treat us like we don't exist. For some of us, they treat us like we're dead even, right? And so what we're going through is a social death. It's a mourning, a grieving process. You literally have to go through the stages. I mean, I was irate at one point, right? And then you're in a state of disbelief. And then you're like, but wait, how could I? Why didn't I see the flags? So you don't have to worry about beating yourself up with guilt. No more self-flagellation, because we all have been there, and we now all are here, right? We're here together. I don't want anyone here to forget that. You're not alone, okay? There's a lot of resources out there. The person next to you, I want you to look at them and say, I'm here for you. Yes, I'm here for all of you. All right?
To people who call us.
Beautiful.
You're not alone.
So I want to talk about life.
So much to me.
I know.
You know, sometimes you may wonder, where does life begin?
Especially
Where
when you're
does it
first
end?
waking
Oh,
up.
it's terrible for
Is it simply as birth and then death? Is
Because
that
everybody
decided
in the
one
organization
decision
knows
or a series of
that
decisions?
if they ever leave, that's what's going to
And as
happen.
we've had to sit and wait, worry and fret, we know that there's
Our
countless
biggest thing now
decisions
is
that are being
welcoming.
made in our behalf, and we didn't
Welcoming
even
the ones
ask for
that are
those
in.
decisions to be made.
because they need to know that.
So we're here to
they'll be
transform our
welcomed.
pain
Yeah.
into power. We're not here
Because
to
otherwise they
continue to
could
wallow
think- they could
in
think
that state of
that
shame
we
and grief.
Don't welcome them.
We're here to stand proud.
I mean, that's why I get on
of our
YouTube
truth,
and do what I do, you
to
know?
own our stories, to own our experiences, and to demand to be heard, to demand to be listened to. Because there's a difference between someone hearing what you have to say and them actually listening to what you have to say. Okay? And that's why we are here, to be listened to insist and demand change. How do we go about bringing change? We have a wonderful human rights speaker that's going to come here today and let us know about our rights. All right, we were told not to be politically involved, to be neutral, but if we continue to take that stance, nothing will change, okay? You now have the free will to choose to make a change, all right? So that's what we want to walk away from here today. We want to walk away with the mindset that we're going to actually get involved, not just for ourselves, but again, for the people who weren't able to make it here, for those who are online, anyone contemplating, feeling like their life doesn't matter. We want to make sure that we get involved for them. Now, we're going to talk about words, right? Words have power. And regardless of people say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt, right? No, these words that we've experienced, they hurt. And one of the aspects of social isolation is that in the brain, it recognizes it the same as physical pain. Now, I've never broken a bone, but I've given birth to a child, and that hurt, okay? So think about it. Any physical pain that you've encountered, a migraine, a broken arm, an ulcer, acid reflux, whatever it is, the psychological abuse that you're experiencing is just as intense, if not more severe. Because unaddressed, it's not going to go anywhere. And even after you address it, you still have to carry the weight. When we talk about the power of words, you know, there's a proverb that says, both life and death are in the power of the tongue. And with those words, people manipulate, distort the truth, and they break us down. They snatch away from us potential and opportunities, a life that we wanted or a life that we never even imagined. All gone because of words. So to illustrate, right, y'all know there once was a man. He used his words to manipulate and persuade an entire country of people, leading them into a world war with just his words. He played on their fear and got them stirred up, and they committed atrocities to their fellow men. We won't even dare to say his name, but we already know what he did in the genocide that he committed, but it was all with words. And we're experiencing that right now. We're trying to be removed and eliminated because of our truth. They don't want the words to be out there. They don't want people to know the truth of the Watchtower, what happens inside, what's going on behind the scenes. They don't want people to know. So your words today have power, but positive power. They're not here to destroy. They're here to create beautiful, unconditional love. Something that we were taught, it's a complex, actually a concept that we have to kind of figure out, what does that mean? What does love even mean? Because we were love bombed, thinking, oh, okay, I really got people on my side. They're here for me. They would die for me. But where are they? When you're crying, when you're in the closet, when you're writing suicide notes, when you got to take medical leave from work because you can't function, where are they? Loving you. No, they're shunning you. And guess what? Because you're shunned, all of those things are a byproduct because you left us. You left us, so that's why you're suffering. That's why your life is falling apart. Come on back. Come back. And how do they do that? They keep our family and friends as hostages. They use them as bait to get us to come back. And for those of us who are standing here, we haven't taken the bait. We won't take the bait. We will continue, like I said, at great cost, to speak out. We love our family. We love our friends that are there. And it's a shame that we can't actually show love to them, because love is as love does. But they don't know that. They think that keeping quiet, saying their prayers, trying to persuade us to come back, that's love. But now we know better. We know so much better. When you think about all that we can accomplish coming together, we literally could change the trajectory of the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society right now. Be Free is a movement. I don't want you guys to think of it as this isolated situation here in Washington, D.C. It's a movement that you can take with you. You can do this in your own town. You can do this in your own area, wherever you are. You can decide to pop up and encourage people to be free. That That is a human right that we have, to be free. And let's not talk about the fact that we have freedom of religion in this country. But if we decide to choose our religion or our faith that is different from the Watchtower, it comes at grave consequence. Complete violation of our first constitutional right, freedom of religion. So let me say this again. If you did not know, freedom of religion is a constitutional right. First Amendment, and it should be without consequence. So we need legislative to know that here in this country, you have at least 3,000 cults operating here in the United States. Some even say up to 10,000. But we just gonna go on the low end and say 3,000. That's a lot of people being manipulated and having their rights violated. And it's not just with us as adults. Children are shunned too. And I know this personally because I have a sister who was shunned at the age of 16. 16. Try to explain that to a toddler as to why they can't go and talk to their auntie. Have to make up some type of excuse or rationale as to why TT's on punishment from Jehovah. So today, again, you'll hear testimonials from people who will speak about what actually has happened to them. And it's going to get emotional. We're going to have moments of silence. We're going to have moments of tears. But this is a moment of victory. So before I bring up our first speaker to share her testimony, I do want to let everyone know that if you need to use the restroom, there's a Potbelly's about 5 minutes in walking distance from here. So I want you guys to be able to go there, obviously, whenever you want, and be able to get some relief if that's what you need. Be considerate of other people's privacy as well. Some of us here cannot afford to be seen online speaking their truth, which is a shame that we still have individuals who have to hide with their pain. They have to hide. So if you're taking pictures, you're taking video, just be mindful to ask the individuals in your frame if it's okay to post them online. Now, what I want to do is have another moment where we get our energy up before I bring up Ash and she shares her experience with us. So whenever you see this, what y'all gonna do? Shun no more. Who was that? Okay.
Shun no more! Shun no more!
Y'all remember this? Come on. Y'all remember this from last year? All right. From the bottom of your feet to the crown of your head. 1, 2, 3. Shun no more! That's right. I couldn't do it on the mic. I might have blew the speaker. All right. So bringing up Ash today, she's originally from Rochester, New York. She was raised one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and she believed that this religion was the only solution for mankind's problems. For those who don't know, that's what they teach. Do not put your faith and trust in men or the government. Be politically neutral. Don't vote. Pray, and the end is coming. Matter of fact, it's near. It's nearer than near. It's closer to the last of the days that it's ever been before. At least that's what people say. So, she's never voted, celebrated holidays, and not even her own birthday. She's a singer and a songwriter. She's transforming her pain into power by using the arts. So if you would please grace us with your appearance and presence. Thank you. Yes, let's celebrate her. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. The floor is yours. Do you need me to take down this mic?
Yes.
Okay.
Say, where's the brother to do the mic?
Hello? Okay. Thank you so much.
She did good.
Hi, I'm nervous, but I am very honored to be here today with every one of you. So, I am physically out and mentally out from the organization, which is another way. A short term is POMO. I am POMO, physically out, mentally out. I knew something was wrong when they told me that I can't talk to my family. When I was told to limit my contact with my best friend. And when they told me to not even talk to you guys. I was alone, I was scared, I had no one. We had no one. We were dictated into social isolation. Can you believe that we had to deconstruct from that mindset and make choices of our own? Instead of asking God what he may think or feel on any decision we choose to make, this religion hides our true personality, who we are, what we like, what we dislike, our values, our strengths, our weaknesses, being true to ourselves without pretending to be someone else. I asked myself, who am I? The day I left, I had an identity crisis, feelings of emptiness, disconnection, and questioning my life's choices and purpose. I have dreamt for my arm to be fixed. And in case you guys haven't noticed, I have a hook. This helps me pick up things. I have a disability. There are people out here that have disabilities, whether you're blind, sick, and we know that the Bible says that Jesus will heal the sick, Jesus will heal the blind, Jesus will heal the disabled. That was one of the biggest reasons why I stayed as a Jehovah's Witness. But they gave me false hope. It is inhumane to manipulate a person's free will for your own selfish reasoning. One other example I can think of is my mother. As a Jehovah's Witness, you cannot take a blood transfusion. My mother, thank God she was not a Jehovah's Witness, because I could have lost her due to the fact that she needed a blood transfusion. I am aware that speaking out about this is just as important as saving someone's life. I became aware of the things happening around me, and I had thoughts of suicide. I searched for help. I did not give up. And that's why I'm standing here today with all of you. This is the help that we've been searching for. This is the movement that will change history. To bring support to the lost sheep that were abandoned by those they trusted the most. It is respect that will sustain humanity. It is a right to exist. It is a right to be seen as you are now. Yeah. It is a right to love another adult. Yeah. It is a right to check up on another person. Yeah. And it is important to remember that all religions must respect human rights. Yeah. One more thing, I made a song about this, so if you guys want to watch it on YouTube, it's called Undo.
She like, get me out of here.
What's your channel?
Fallen Ashes.
Yes, Fallen Ashes. What I want to do is just ask you a few questions about your experience. You mentioned that you stayed because you had this hope of being healed. When you came to the realization that that was not going to happen, what was that impact like? Like, what was that truth and how it affected you?
Well, I would say that I it affected me to the point where I didn't accept myself, basically. I didn't accept who I was, and I didn't accept I'm not the only one that has a disability in my family. My uncle's paralyzed, so I also hope for the Paradise Earth to heal him. I also hope for the Paradise Earth to heal my brother because he has autism. So this was what I was taught, and after realizing that my brother is fine, I'm fine. I'm beautiful the way I am. I don't need to be told to have an ability to be loved. And if there is technology out there to fix this, that's great, but I also love myself. I don't want to go through any more surgery to touch my body. That's my personal decision. But I would say that after realizing that, it made me realize, you know what, I have to love myself now. I have to love myself.
Well, we know loving oneself is a journey. I think it's a journey that I'm still on, but it's nice to not be at the beginning of that journey. So let me ask you this. What would you say to organizations that support and advocate for people with physical impairments? What would you say to them right now from all of your pain and all of your realizations? How can they support? What should they know?
Well, one thing I know is when you are dealing with people with disabilities, you have to be social. You can't really shun them. I mean, you have to be able to, certain people with disabilities, you have to physically help them with. You have to touch certain things and help them out. So I'd say for those that are, I'm sorry, I'm nervous right now, but I would say that we shouldn't shun another person in general, even if we just shouldn't shun another person. I'm really nervous.
So I really loved her chant, right? All religions must respect human rights. So we're going to have Ash put her hand in the air, and we're going to say, respect human rights. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Respect human rights! Respect human rights! Respect human rights! Respect human rights! Respect human rights!
I don't really know what's happening. Oh, I didn't have my hand up? All right. We're going to do it again. I love that. All right, here we go. Hand up. Y'all ready? Don't forget. Let's not forget. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3.
Respect human rights! Respect human rights!
Respect human rights! Respect human rights!
Come on, let's give Ash another round of applause for coming.
Woo!
So much for your courage and bravery.
And private studies too. Predators lurked with Bible verse glue. Door-to-door preaching, a facade so bright, a ruse to gain trust and profit from fright. The governing body, bringers of shame, years of stealth, a deception to maintain. Thousands have suffered in silence and pain. No closure, no remorse, just prolonged shame. Settled out of court with hush money paid. Donations misused, a cash silence shade. Trials avoided, truth left unspoken, leaving survivors with wounds and broken. Descendants scarred by trauma's heavy weight. Mental health shattered, a lifelong debate. Tension, despair, and suicidal cries. Echoes of misery hidden by lies. Their faithful slave status, a claim so grand, but God's channel tainted by human hand. Spiritual guides silent to abuse, leaving victims shattered with no excuse. The weight of shame, a deep burden to bear, a lifetime of pain, unbalanced with care. Society's silence, a deafening sound. Survivors may suffer, but voices astound. Out from the shadows of the kingdom hall, we weekly gathered, bound by rules and all. Now walking as free souls, we find our way through loneliness and darkness, night and day. Disfellowshipped, shunned, purged, and left behind. Family, friends, and love we cannot find. Conditional love is a heavy chain, binds us to fear, to isolation's pain. But we are not alone and not adrift, for in our shared past we find a rare gift. A great crowd of survivors, strong and true, working together to heal and renew. We grasp the pain, the hate disguised as love, reproof and isolation from above. We fight from being captives of the past. Now we can see life without them at last. So let us stand united side by side, lifting up each other, no need to hide. Our small network is resilient and bold. Together we heal and never grow cold. No longer speak alone, we find our voice. In this journey forward, we make a choice to break free from chains, to shatter the mold, to embrace our true selves, both young and old. We come like a tidal wave, fast and true. Together our memories see us through. No longer held down, we dance in the light, free to live, love, and shine with all of our might. Thank you.
She was so nervous, y'all. Wasn't her words beautiful, though? Yes. I love it. So let's get a little more into Dinah's story, right? In one of her poems, she said, door-to-door preaching, a ruse to gain trust and profit from fright. So those who have children or who are caretakers of those children, what would you advise them?
So to parents and caregivers, I would say be alert and wary of the deception in the preaching work. A tactic used to gain trust and exploit vulnerability. Look beyond the surface, research thoroughly, and prioritize your child's well-being and safety. Don't rely solely on elders' judgment. Seek truth, and remember, children are our future. They deserve our protection, care, and justice.
In your other poem, you used the word purged. So I wanted to know why you chose to use such a strong and definitive word.
So I use purge because it conveys the brutal finality of being disfellowshipped and shunned. It means being erased, discarded, and treated as if we never existed. The organization's willingness to sever ties between loved ones leaves deep scars. Purged highlights the pain and degradation that comes from being treated as disposable, contradicting the organization's claims, values of love and compassion.
We ain't purged, y'all. We here. Let's thank Dinah for coming up. For those who don't know, within the Watchtower, and I'm going to use that expression a lot, right? The Watchtower Bible Tract Society, because let's not forget they're a corporation, they're a business, masquerading as a religion. Children's human rights are violated when born in and raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. They're denied the right of self-actualization, the realization of their dreams and full potential in life, and living up to that full potential. Fun fact, Carla is a self-taught artist focusing in acrylic painting. So let's bring this creative, beautiful person to give her testimony and experience, not just as a witness herself, but as a mother.
Hi everyone, thank you so much. My name is Carla. You know, I told the organizers that I didn't like public speaking. I'd done it, but I don't like it because I was forced to do it as a child. I never wanted to go up on stage. I didn't want to have to speak at doors to people. I was pretty shy as a child, and I didn't want to do that. It wasn't my choice. Now, it has something that I was able to use in the business world, but because I was forced to do that, it took the joy out of it for me. So today I'm going to talk about human rights and how they relate to children's choices and being able to choose. As many of you here know, the org of Jehovah's Witnesses bills itself as the total solution for all the problems and issues you've got in life. I know this because I was born in and raised into this high control religion, and my parents believed they had found the truth. The Watchtower org is so prescriptive in everything. It tells you what you can do financially. It controls what medical treatment you can have. What movies and TV shows you can watch, books you can read, music you can listen to, the people you can associate with, and on and on. All doctrine disseminated from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society must be strictly adhered to, and dissent is apostasy with extreme consequences. Children are heavily impacted by these deprivations of liberty and freedom. According to the United Nations Charter on the Rights of a Child, no child should be denied the right to a childhood, yet the Jehovah's Witness organization and religion systematically and pathologically disregards the basic human rights of children, all adding up to an emotionally abusive atmosphere. Regardless of a child's personal feelings and beliefs, children have no choice but to follow their parents' directives, which are mandated from the organization. As a child, I found it suffocating. The UN Office of the High Commission's Human Rights Article 18 states everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change your religion or belief or to have none without punishment, including shunning. Further, Article 12 states that every child has the right to express their views, feelings, and wishes in all matters affecting them, and have their views considered and taken seriously. Like many of you, I was denied these rights and a childhood that every child deserves. Nearly every aspect of one's life as a Jehovah's Witness is dictated, and my own childhood was no exception. From birth, I was told what I could and couldn't do, could and couldn't be. I had dreams and aspirations. I showed an early proficiency for drawing and painting, yet no one encouraged me to pursue this talent. I loved dancing and begged my mother every time we drove by the local ballet studio to let me attend classes, and it was always a no. Children are not only denied their right to a childhood, but are even placed at risk of dying by Jehovah's Witness members' refusal of blood transfusions. I was expected to carry a no blood card. I remember that I was very young when my mother provided this card, and if I couldn't carry it, she carried it for me, and every member of my family had that card. And that was in the event that, my parents weren't with me if something were to happen. My mother was very adamant. Under no circumstances were we receive blood, as this was against Bible principles according to them and a sin against Jehovah. Around age 12, 13, which is a pivotal developmental age where most children begin to explore the possibilities of what adulthood will look like, what careers they might look forward to, none of my aspirations were supported, much less encouraged. Instead, it was all intentionally discouraged by my parents. Not overtly, the discouragement was more insidious. It was made abundantly clear in subtle, covert ways by the adults around me and the constant onslaught of Jehovah's Witness organization material, which is disseminated in weekly meetings and read in the Watchtower publications, that I could be none of the things I showed an interest in. I was denied the right to pursue self-actualization. Particularly as a girl, women were to be subjugated to male heads of households, not career women. Children raised as Jehovah's Witnesses don't hear a basic fundamental message that validates their self-esteem, and that is that they can be whatever they want to be. The message that I must accept a much lower status than I dreamed of was communicated in various ways. It was patronizing smiles when I would mention my excited interest in any of the several careers, the absence of any conversation with my parents about my career desires, the lack from the larger JW community posing that proverbial question other children hear, what do you want to be when you grow up? I know what I wanted to be, but when a stranger would ask me this arbitrary question, there was always this awkward silence by my mom, and I would always have to say, I don't know, which wasn't true. All of these methods were capped with the lack of planning by my parents for an education beyond high school, clearly signaling that there was no continuing education in my future. This had a dampening effect on my psyche. According to clinical psychologist Dr. Heidi Green, trauma isn't just the bad stuff that happened, it's also the good stuff that didn't happen. I wasn't rescued by my educators either. It seemed that my teachers all understood that silent communication from my parents and the JW org mandate that I should not be encouraged to pursue my dreams, my educational or career dreams. My fellow high school students all met with career counselors. I was never invited to meet with one. My educators were complicit in this type of psychological abuse against me. Desperate for some encouragement, I remember I clung to one paper from a teacher who praised me for my writing ability. She ended the paper notes with, "You should become a writer." I clung to that. I still have it to this day. Apparently that educator never received the memo to withhold encouragement from JW children in worldly pursuits. Sadly, deprivation of education often leads to lost dreams and consigns people to low income, setting them up for poverty. As per JWFacts.org article quoting research by the Pew Forum, Jehovah's Witnesses are shown to have the lowest average education and income levels of any religion in the United States. The JW org-fueled child abuse that brainwashed parents engage in is more sinister to the developing psyche of a child than blatant corporal punishment. According to cult expert Dr. Stephen Hassan, JW teachings cause serious emotional and psychological abuse and can even damage brain development. It is no surprise then, at around age 15, I fell into a deep depression. I will never forget not wanting to live anymore. My future seemed hopeless, rudderless, without any guidance from anyone, with no direction or goals. My sadness at a bleak future was overwhelming, and I had nowhere and no one to turn to. During high school, the only educational encouragement I received from my parents was to take useful classes, such as typing, bookkeeping, and the like, communicating to me clearly that all they expected of me was to become a secretary, as it was called back then. Jehovah's Witnesses are advised against a university education or pursuing any higher education and receive regular warnings against it. As a doomsday cult, Jehovah's Witnesses are taught that the end of the worldly system is near, so higher educational pursuits are meaningless. Higher education is viewed just as bad as smoking, using drugs, and watching violent or immoral movies. This is indoctrinated into Jehovah's Witnesses and was the case in my life. I heard that message loud and clear. It was demoralizing. My parents had been pioneers, as full-time preachers are called in the org. Due to the constant stream of indoctrination coming from the org, I understood that I was expected to just get graduated from high school, enter the unpaid pioneer work, and maybe get a part-time job. As a child, I internalized all of this nonverbal communication and organizational messaging. I felt as though my parents viewed me as too stupid to be anything else. Mentally, I fought those messages. I knew instinctively that I was smarter than what these messages were communicating. I tried believing in myself, knowing on an intuitive level I was capable of much more. However, with no support from my parents or the JW community or the public education system, with my self-esteem damaged and my self-image broken, it was nearly impossible to counter. I was unhappy, listless, and bored. Thankfully, my rebel spirit wasn't entirely extinguished. I was determined to one day live my life my way. And about a year after high school graduation, I had gotten a job and I left home and I secured enough money during that year to be able to leave, and I stopped going to meetings. It took me 10 more years to start college part-time while working full-time because I obviously had to support myself. In our capitalist system, we worry about our children. You know, we worry that they have enough money because that money has to buy food, and it has to buy shelter, and it has to buy health care. So I couldn't go to college. You know, that was denied me. I never realized, though, a college degree. I had to drop out, and I never realized any of my career dreams. I became that Pew Research statistic. Without any family support and isolated from any non-JW extended family, it has been a struggle my whole life to survive. Always barely getting by, and with my health drastically affected by it. According to American pediatrician Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, hailed as a pioneer in her field, adverse childhood experiences are linked with toxic stress levels, leading to unhealthy and harmful health outcomes later in life. The silver lining in this is that my daughter's life was vastly different than my own because I escaped this high control religion and raised her completely differently. Thank you. I am so proud of her. She was enrolled in dance classes at age 2 because she loved dance. I saw her dancing and loving music when she was at 2 years old. And she never stopped dancing. In fact, she went on to be a competition dancer all the way through college. And I always gave her the choice. I always told her, if you don't want to dance anymore, that's okay. You have to follow your passion. You have to let your children guide you in the way that they want, how they want to choose to live their life and their passions. I taught her to read when she was 4 years old. In kindergarten, she was identified as gifted, which I was told by the school was unprecedented. Throughout her school years, my daughter was continuously in gifted classes and an honors society member, accepted to the Honors College at university, graduating magna cum laude in environmental biology, and has recently earned her master's degree also in biology. She grew up being celebrated, noticed, and cared about. She was not emotionally neglected like we were, like I was. This was the childhood and life that I was denied. As cult expert Dr. Stephen Hassan has pointed out, these are not only children's rights, these are human rights. These are also women's rights that we are fighting for here today. What I and others experience is undeniably child neglect and abuse. The degradation I experienced led to broken self-esteem and a lack of self-worth, leading to a cascade of more abuse in my life and tolerance of domestic violence. Novelist and activist Alice Walker reminds us the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. I am a living example that we must have and that we have the power to affect change. And we must act now to help protect children from cult upbringing by raising awareness of the insidious damage that is inflicted upon children's minds, their mental health, their self-worth, self-confidence, and self-esteem. Thank you.
She didn't even want to speak. I hate to say peer pressure did it, but it did. Aren't we so happy and proud of her? It's a beautiful thing that she had the opportunity not to repeat that with her daughter. And as a mother, I understand what that's like. So thank you so much for coming up. I did want to ask a few questions about some of the things you mentioned in your speech. First, I wanted to ask you, how old were you when you had to carry this no blood card?
Yeah, I was in elementary school. I think I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I also remember that the card changed later in my high school years. It had a red blood, bag and with a red circle and line through it. I see Erica's nodding her head. I remember that, and man, that was a mandate.
I remember carrying one as well, which is very interesting because at 8 or 9, you don't fully understand what you're saying or what you're doing, especially as a child. I mean, to think that you were facing death in those moments for not taking blood, right? You don't know, but it's interesting how that happens.
Yeah, you don't understand the ramifications and the consequences of some type of decision like that at all. Thank goodness nothing happened, to my brother or I.
And the interesting thing is, for those who don't know, at one point, blood transfusions were not allowed, like a hard no, excuse me. But then later on, they said, oh, you can take blood fractions, parts of blood, So which is it, no blood or blood fractions? And where do those fractions come from? Blood. So whenever they're under fire, they choose to change at their will just to make themselves look bad. But guess what? All of those children, all of those mothers who may have died, all of the brothers, all of the sisters that did not get a blood transfusion, guess what has happened? They're not coming back. You cannot undo the loss. You cannot say, oh, take the fractions. Yeah, but I just let my child die 2 years ago. Like, what? Where were these fractions at my time when I needed the fractions? The other thing I wanted to ask you too is, you mentioned self, but please give her a round of applause because she is going to teach us how we begin this journey of actually fighting for and insisting that our human rights be respected. Let's bring up Jeanette.
Thank you, everybody. This is just something, I always believe in timing, and I believe that things happen when they have to happen. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for all the speakers before me. I want to say this, and you will see how. I have a piece of everyone that has spoken. I don't write poetry, but your stories are here. I am you. And everyone that knows me, and in my business, in my organization, everybody knows that I say that I am not me, I am we. Because we all share a common ground that something always happens to all of us. I have managed, through schooling, and I have so many titles and all kinds of stuff, but my mission, my purpose is to protect, defend, and educate, extend this knowledge and this experience to all of you so that we all can become advocates for human rights. I breathe, my DNA is human rights. My story, before I get to why I am here today. So as a child, at home, I was raped from the age of 6 to 9. We were brought up into a religious, and we have all kinds of religions in my family. But there was a fear impregnated in me, because I was always told that if I spoke, I was not going to be believed. And that's what a lot of religions do. Don't speak, they won't believe you. It's gonna categorize you somewhere where your self-worth is controlled, is manipulated. And I grew up with that fear. I went through, oh my God, years and years and years of trauma-based and all kinds of pills and all kinds of stuff, because I was told that I was schizophrenic, and I was told that I was a borderline or everything. But inside of me as a child, I said, I am not that. Somebody hurt me. And I am not that, and I can't speak because I was told I wasn't going to be believed. Fast forward, I am alive because of the grace of God, because I was felt victim to domestic violence. And there also, I went to countless churches and all kinds of people to help me. But it's just that we are not supposed to let our minds and our emotions of who we are be controlled, because that's a violation of our human rights. Our human rights, all of us, please listen to me. All of us have the exact human rights no matter where we are born. We have the right to be here. We have the right to be wherever we want to go. Just like people come into our country, we are free to go to theirs. That's our God-given right when we are born. So the way that we have to come together, this should be full of people, but it's not full of people because people do not know what human rights are. Because I know if I ask, some people, do you know what human rights are? They go, no, you have to learn what human rights are. Because when you know what your human rights are, trust me, your life will change. And not only that you will be a beacon, because you will be able to transform the lives of so many. And that's why I am here today. Through my journey, I one day said, I cannot be controlled anymore. I cannot be told. Just like someone said, I used to sing. I grew up in a family of musicians, and I used to sing beautifully. But because my own mother, may she rest in peace, I was not enough. I was told I would never be enough. And so one day when I had Sony Records was going to sign me, she ripped up the contract, and my vocal cords were gone. I haven't been able to sing again. I sing in the shower, but I haven't been able to sing again. But it's when they rip your soul from you, because they violate, they infiltrate in your mind your self-worth, which is your worthness that you're born with. Human rights is everything. Everything. It's a huge umbrella that covers us. But if we don't learn what it is, you won't be able to protect yourself, and hence you won't be able to protect others. Article 29 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says it's our responsibility, to take care, to protect our rights, but respect and protect the rights of others. So this is a chain. This is a chain reaction. This is a ripple effect that when we learn what human rights are, we will be able to create that community, to create that unity, that global unity that has to happen now. Look where we are today in this country. With division, with so many, we are all the same. We are all the same. This division, please, close your ears to the hatred. Close your ears to the division. We are all the same. And since when we learn our human rights, we learn that it's okay to have a different opinion, because it's our right. So we never are in disagreement, because if we agree that we disagree, that's an agreement. So let's respect each other. We could think whichever way we want to think. That's our human right. But we have to come together. But the right way to do this is when you know your human rights. And because one day I woke up and I said, I'm not going to be hurt anymore. I'm not going to be controlled anymore. I'm not going to be told who I am and who I am not, how much worth I have or not. And I kept on studying. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm multilingual. I have traveled the world. I've done so much. And I opened the only CPD accredited 501c3 nonprofit human rights organization in Tampa Bay, where I'm based in Tampa Bay. And I founded and created the International Institute for Human Rights. I am the founder and CEO of the International Institute for Human Rights, based in Tampa, but we are global. Learn your human rights. Religions, trust me, I lost my mother's family. My entire mother's family went into Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't even know where they're at. My cousins, they are my sisters and brothers, because we grew up together. They grew up in my household under our roof. We don't know where they're at, because we lost them to Jehovah's Witness, to that religion. But make no mistake, it's not only Jehovah's Witness. There are so many that are in government. There are so many around us, and they give you all of these materials and everything, and they are under a facade of another name. But you gotta be careful. what the information that you're receiving, because they pull you in. They have that ability to pull you in, and once you're in, then they start with this manipulation. But stand strong, stand firm on your human rights, and nobody will be able to penetrate. Nobody will be able to violate your human rights because you already know what they are. You know what you are. So I invite you all that no matter what, please, you can reach out to me, reach out to these organizers. I'll put you in touch, wherever you're at. You could come to us also and learn your human rights. Get certified, become an advocate, because then you'll extend, we have to create, a unity, a global unity. We have to unite ourselves. We have to stop, shunning. When somebody tells you, like when I was on the verge of committing suicide 3 times in my lifetime. The last time was in my mother's house. And those that are supposed to be there to protect you and love you and embrace you, when the cops came, 8 cops came. And when the sergeant started talking to me, because they had to take me into the hospital, and I was speaking to them just like I am right now, and they told my mother, you have to come with her because she can't go alone. She said, well, that's her problem. That's her problem. And this happens every single day. I have a book that's coming out. It's called Behind My Smile. Because I want to do an exercise. Please, everybody smile. Smile, smile, smile. Everybody smile. Now, does anybody know what's behind that smile? Because we're here today, and some of us, not a lot of us, may have some situations at home or in our lives internally, but we smile. So we have to, bring out the best in each other, because we are human beings, and we have a heart that has a pulse. When we cut each other, our blood, it has only one color universally. The color of blood is red no matter where we're born. Come on, we have to, cut this nonsense. Religions and churches, they all cover up because of, yes, they have their standards. They are legally bound by something. But when you know that in your church, there's a child that's being molested. Just in Miami, there was a few months ago, a priest, he renounced to his priesthood because one of the persons that was going to church for years confessed to this priest that his 7-year-old daughter, hear me, his 7-year-old daughter, this man confessed to the priest that since age 4, he had his daughter perform oral sex on him. And there are a lot of churches that know a lot of things like this and even worse, and they don't say a word. So how are you not going to protect the rights of this child? How are you not going to incarcerate that predator? How are you going to protect? How is the church going to, what is the church going to represent in front of other people? Because you're coming for guidance, because you're coming for that spiritual protection, because everybody always reaches out to something or someone. But you have to, number one, protect your rights. Religion and God is for everybody. Whatever you call him, Jehovah, God, whatever, Yahweh, it's one. There's one creator. There's one creator. We don't come from, this one creator. Call him whatever. And your faith has to be respected. But when you know that something is going on, you have to say something. We have to do something. Protecting our rights is mandatory. It sets us free from binding, free from religions, from sex, from cults, from our identity. Don't let anyone ever rob your identity. Protect your human right. Love who you are. We are different. This is the beauty of our world. Look around. We are, and we are united here. So next year, when we do this again, this has to be full, because it has to be full of advocates for human rights. And we have to, take this all over the world, people with disabilities, thank you. Those that can't fend for themselves, how are we not going to be there for them? If we go to church and we believe, I have to take care of my brother and my sister, I don't care where you're from, because that's what I do. They criticize me back home where I live because I protect immigrants. I do, and I will do, and I'll fight, and I will die protecting them. Why? Because they're just like you and me. They're just like you and me. You know, God forbid something happens in the United States and we have to go somewhere else. It could happen. COVID hit and the world changed. Don't ever think that nothing ever can happen in the United States. Hey, we're not immune. We got attacked. We've been attacked. We are under attack right now at home for so many reasons and so many types of, different kinds of things. We have to, if we protect our rights and we protect each other, then we are impenetrable. Words are bullets, and words are saviors. So we got to be careful how we talk, how we, be real, but, to stay true to who we are as human beings. My name is Jeanette Mata. I am the founder and CEO of Miel y Canela Foundation. Everything that we do in 7 languages. We're multilingual. I am multilingual. and I'm the founder of the International Institute for Human Rights. I'm also on the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. What else? Oh, I'm the chair of the Human Relations Board in Hillsborough County in Tampa, and a plethora of, it's so many things that I am. But you know what I am? I am we. I am we. I am for you, and you, all of you, come to me and let's do this together. We figure it out, but it's just one common ground, and it's to be free. To be free and to live our rights as human beings. Thank you so much.
Nice, you're trying to skirt off. So I would say, first, thank you. When it comes to human rights, all of us here, 9 times out of 10, really don't even know where to begin to research our human rights. Where is the first place that we should start to learn our rights?
I always say, it's like, I'm going to put an example. When the immigrant, I hate the word immigrant, we're all immigrants, but when immigrants come to me, to my office, I always tell them, don't listen to anyone. Don't look at TikTok or, go straight to USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. Go to the source. So I tell you, to learn what human rights are, go to the source. The source is the United Nations. Go to the United Nations Human Rights .org, and that's where it begins. Or call me. Yeah, I'll no matter where you're at, you could be in another country. This is universal, okay? But start to get the correct information. It starts in the in the United Nations. The office, the prime office where it all started, where it was born, is in Geneva, in the United Nations hub in Geneva. That's where human rights started. And it was Eleanor Roosevelt, our first lady, that started all of this. And thank God for her in 1948. But if you want to go to the source, go to the United Nations, and it's all there. Get involved. Let's do United Nations chapters in our cities. We can do that. I can teach you that. Oh, somebody fell, sorry. But yeah, go to the source for human rights, the source, the right information is the United Nations, or call me.
Now, on a local, like state level, if we actually want to affect change, meaning like through legislation and bills, where do we need to go within our own states to start to have our voices not only heard, but for people to listen so that way it can march up the line to Congress? What's our first step that?
Congregate. Learn first what human rights are. Teach it to others. And get a community, get your community involved. From there, go up the chain of command. Because if you go to the top, they're going to say, did you go to the bottom? Did you start? But at least you take, just make that list. You start with your commissioner. And then from the commissioner, you go to the mayor. And then from the mayor, you go to your state representative. And then you go to your state. If they don't want to do nothing, we're here. Let's come here. Okay? But first learn, because once I tell you something, once you learn what human rights are, even more so, if you get certified as a certified consultant, as an advisor for human rights, it's gonna stay, it's gonna come in your blood because you're gonna learn so much more. You're going to evolve so much as the human being that we are, that it's infectious, it's contagious. And I won't do anything else but this. I mean, I'm in love with what I do, and that's how you start, that's how you create change. By coming together, learn your human rights so that you can teach it to others, congregate, and look in your respective states and your communities, what is missing, what is needed. Because again, like I said, human rights covers everything. So look and go into those communities that need the help and help them, make them advocates for human rights as well. And that's how change is created.
All right, let's thank her for coming out, you guys. And we miss you and we love you. All right, so many of you know me as XJWMJ on YouTube. So if you guys aren't already following his page, you want to do so. We actually did a session called Sip and Shades, and we had a good time doing our show. But he is deeply saddened that he couldn't be here in person to stand alongside of all of you for this powerful and courageous movement. But even though he's not physically present, his heart is with each of you here today and the thousands, hopefully millions, who are watching on screen. What we've been through is anything but easy. It's painful. He was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness, baptized at 16 and married at 20. Some may think he's up here or having me give his speech because he left this organization a long time ago. But the truth is, he left in March of last year. He's 33 years old. That's 30 years of dedication with participation for being a ministerial servant. Coming to talk to you guys is a big step, and it goes to show that what I am saying, I believe in with all my heart. I didn't need to wait and see if what I truly believed in was right or wrong, because what I believe in is love. God is love. This is what makes us human. Anything that violates that love should be questioned. He was kicked out for that because he wanted to be like Jesus, someone who ate with sinners, someone who fed the homeless, clothed the poor, and healed the sick. The elders didn't like that. They were mad with him because he didn't agree with this fellowshipping and shunning. So he lost his community, his marriage was out the window, and his body was in a car. So yes, he lived in his car. He was beaten, rejected, spat on, and pushed around. He felt both ashamed and frustrated to have ever been called a Jehovah's Witness, a religious institution that claimed to be loving, one he would have laid down his life for. All of you here have also been treated the same way, shunned by your friends and family who are being held captive by that organization. We are shunned because we demonstrate true love. Some of us are accused of apostasy, even if it means bringing something to light, which means we lose everything and everyone we love unless we play dumb. It's what I like to call emotional blackmail. And for that, he stands sympathetically deep in your pain. His wife, his 3 children, and himself are walking this path, lonely towards freedom. But there's more. Many of you have come here to share something far more painful, your stories of abuse by members of this religion. Those offenders were often in positions of power within the congregation, and tragically, many of you were just children when this happened. I want you to know that I am fighting for you. I am fighting for your children, and I am fighting for Jehovah's Witness members as well who don't know any better. When I was 12 years old, a ministerial servant took advantage of me. The abuse continued until I was 13. It's rare to hear a man speak about being sexually abused, but it happened more often than people think. It happened to me, and it caused so much trauma in my life. I couldn't eat, couldn't shower, couldn't even bear to look at myself in the mirror. I would sit frozen in the corner of the bathroom, ashamed and scared. That's where I felt safe, because I could be alone with my thoughts and alone with my pain. The man who abused me made me feel small and powerless. He belittled me and made me fear the consequences of speaking up, more so that his father was an elder. So I thought, if his son, a man guided by Holy Spirit, is doing this to me, surely his father couldn't be any better. Maybe even dismiss this just because they think I'm lying. Sure enough, when I finally found the courage to tell his father, they almost swept it under the rug because I didn't have any witnesses. There we go with that 2 or 3, right? Eventually the truth did come to light, and a token of justice was served. You will know what I mean by that in just a minute. But by then the damage was done. As a man, you're expected to be strong, be a leader. But in those moments, I felt weak. I felt like a bystander in my own life. This trauma leaves scars that never heal. Victims face emotional and psychological damage, and while members are elusive, the stories of pain, isolation, and suicide are all too real. The so-called judicial process forces victims to confront their abusers and interrogated by male members who dismiss their suffering. There's no transparency, no justice. That's why so many leave this organization feeling abandoned, grappling with their mental health, even committing suicide. I know this all too well. I too faced depression. I was physically and verbally abused by an elder who continued to give talks while the elder knew about it, and another brother beat me for having a beard, just a few months shy of them changing this policy and allowing beards. I'll pause. Men were not allowed to allow their natural facial hair to grow out. They had to be given permission for a God-given creation process when even Jesus wore a beard. This abuse instilled fear in me, affecting my social life, my marriage, and ultimately I had to obey. Because I refused, this led to shunning. I lost my friends, family, and at one point I had to sleep in my car. This drove me to attempt suicide, leaving me with bruises, a seizure, and scars that remind me of my fear every time I look in the mirror. But you know what? I don't fear anymore. Heck, I don't have a YouTube. I have a YouTube and I show my face. What else can they take from me? That should be your mentality, excuse me. They will tell you that you won't be happy. Listen, I remarried. I have a 9-month-old baby at home. I was told, a 9-month baby that I was told is an enemy of God. Y'all remember that? That man said, babies are enemies of God. Can you believe they said that? A baby. Okay. He said, but I've been blessed in more ways than none. I have a community right in front of me. I'm watching you on screen right now. Woo! MJ! And there is many of you. We may have lost what we call family, but what we have now is far better. I want to end this with something you all should know. The suffering that we go through is global, but the world is starting to wake up. In 2016, the Australian Royal Commission exposed over 1,800 allegations of child sex abuse within the Jehovah's Witnesses congregation, involving more than 1,000 predators. I just want y'all to pause. 1,800 cases of child sex abuse involving 1,000 predators. Do you guys know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't mandatorily report pedophiles? So while they're out here standing at those carts, knocking on your doors, that your children, your community is at danger, while they're driving the school buses, working in school as school aides, your children are in danger. I want y'all, the community that's here around, to let that sink in if you have kids. Shockingly, 11% of them were elders or ministerial servants. 11%. Those meant to protect the flock. Not one case was reported to the police within that organization. So 1,800 and not one was reported. Some were settled within the congregation, and that's what I call a token of justice. A tiny fraction served with no real fairness or true resolution. And that was just in Australia 8 years ago. Imagine the numbers now. Globally, Jehovah's Witnesses have always handled these crimes internally using twisted biblical interpretations like the two-witness rule to protect abusers. But finally, governments are starting to act. Some countries have already shut down this organization. We are here today because we need more to do so. The United States needs to stop the shunning, to push for human rights, to mandate the reporting of sex offenders, and to end the abuse that's going on for too long. We are here to break the silence. We are here to expose this evil. And here we are standing outside of the White House. We send a message that we will not stop until we are heard. Don't be afraid to believe in something. Don't be ashamed for leaving your religion. Always remember, although we teach you that you are one person that left and you are being misled, think about it this way. Think about it for change. Out of 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses, it's actually a blessing that you are the only person who left. Always remember that. That makes you incredibly special because it makes you smarter than them. I now know what it means to be strong, and I now know that I am not alone, and I fear no longer. You're here today because you too are strong. You too aren't alone, and you too fear no longer. I'm already a leader in this fight. You're already leaders in this fight. Let's show the world what true strength and true leadership looks like. This is XJWMJ. Thank you for listening. Take care, stay safe, and remember, you can't make any of this up. Shun No More 2024. Let's do this.
You guys know, we literally have had over 160 people watching the live stream. So I know we can look around and see this crowd, but there's plenty more of us online, okay? All right. Go ahead.
All right, what's up, y'all? How we feeling today? Yeah. Good energy, okay?
Be free.
Be free. All right, so for those who don't know, I'm Devin.
And I'm Lexi.
And some of y'all may know us from our YouTube channel, Awaken Truths. And if you don't, well, it's nice to meet y'all for the first time. And by our appearance, you might not be able to tell, but we used to be Jehovah's Witnesses. We all make bad choices in life. That was one of ours, you know what I'm saying? But y'all remember when we were witnesses and they would tell us, you know, we were 8 million strong. The lights getting brighter and the chariots moving. They would give us these yearbooks. I wasn't reading the yearbooks, but some of us were. But in the back, remember, it would be these charts. It would show Bible studies, more people getting baptized. And it seemed like we were growing, right? But then you pull up to the Kingdom Hall over the years, and they got smaller and smaller. And now we got to sell this Kingdom Hall and squeeze some more together in one, but we're growing at the same time. And then the assemblies and conventions got smaller and smaller, but somehow we're growing at the same time. Well, that's because it was something they didn't want to tell us. Approximately 70,000 people leave this organization every single year. Is there any proof in that? Well, if we look around, this is just one location on one day. And we got people that left all through the years from different places. So that shows people are getting, you know, out of this organization. Now, we remember about 4 years ago, something major happened to the whole world, right? That was COVID. COVID slowed down everything. Now, one thing we didn't notice, or some people did notice, COVID slowed down this organization at the same time because we broke two very important rules. So one rule we broke, everybody slowed down all of a sudden. We couldn't go in field service. We couldn't have our Bible studies. We weren't at the meetings. We were going to the meetings at home, but we wearing pajama pants down here in the screen. You know, we got our shirt and tie on. So that caused us to slow down. The second thing that happened to mess this organization up, everybody was able to stop and think. You're not supposed to think as a Jehovah's Witness because they keep you flooded with book studies, personal studies, family studies, meetings. And so what happened, we slowed down and we go, wait a minute. And the effect of that caused a lot of people to wake up during COVID. So we woke up during COVID. Did anybody show of hands wake up COVID or after COVID? Oh yeah, show of hands. So that just shows good for us and bad for them.
Now, something that this organization has always tried to do is minimize and invalidate the voices of its ex-members. We're all gathered here today not just for purpose, but for passion. We are passionate about bringing awareness to the negative effects that this organization has, not only on its members, but also its ex-members. And how fitting it is that we're gathered during the week of National Suicide Prevention. I want to thank so many of you who have shared your vulnerable stories today, but I'm going to ask for something even more. I want to see a show of hands. Have any of you, either one, ever felt like you wanted to commit suicide, or two, know of somebody who has committed suicide due to the negative effects of this organization? Show of hands. Look around. That is not okay. That warrants further investigation, okay? Why is this happening? Now, for those who don't know, I'm a registered nurse. We learned about something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs in nursing school. Is anybody familiar with Maslow's? Okay, cool. So the people who are not, you will be by the end of our speech. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as you can see, it's shaped into a pyramid. Don't make fun of us, y'all. We made this last night, okay? It's a little crooked, you know, whatever. But the whole idea behind it is to reach self-actualization, which we have heard talked about in the speech today, right? So to reach that, you have to first have your needs fulfilled in the tiers underneath, all right? So we're gonna go through each tier and kind of show how the religion affects each one of these tiers, okay? And this is the way that we build ourselves. This is the way that we are able to grow as people. Okay, I'll pass it on, babe.
All right, so when we go through these, of course, the organization uses a lot of these tactics, but there's one particular one that they focus on, and when y'all notice it, we're just gonna do a little when we see which one they focus on, all right? So we'll start from the bottom. Our physiological needs, so that's our basics. Our food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. This is just what we need to survive as a human. So this organization is so ruthless to say you got this 18-year-old, right, living at home with his parents, and he decide, man, this is a cult. I don't want to do this no more. Well, by the rules of this organization, they are allowed to kick him out on the street to where he can't even get his basic needs. So just think of sleep. We need sleep so bad that if we don't have somewhere to sleep, we'll sleep under a bridge, we'll sleep on a bench somewhere in the park because we need it. If we need food, we'll eat out of a trash can if we really get to that point of survival mode. Even people are to the point where if they don't have these basic needs, they will commit a crime that they don't want to do just so they can have something to eat, somewhere to stay. And this organization knows that, so they purposely put these things to strip a person of all survival.
Now the next tier is going to be safety and security. This focuses on health, your personal security, employment, resources, and family. Now family, we're going to focus that on the next tier because we all know how the families get ripped away through shunning. But I want to look at resources. Whenever a person is kicked out of this religion, they are depleted of their resources. This is done because this organization wants to be able to control you. If you have no resources, you're going to go crawling back, right? So it's done to you on purpose. And this organization infiltrates your life in such a way that whenever you leave, you feel crazy. It's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Everything that they said is coming true. Oh, you know, don't worry about calling off for the assembly. Jehovah will take care of you, and the new system is coming. Don't worry about going to college. The new system is coming. Don't worry about making friends outside of this organization because what? They're not friends of Jehovah. And you don't want to be destroyed when this new system comes, right? So they completely infiltrate your life in this way, and it messes with the personal security that you have in yourself. That's why so many people go crawling back to this organization. They'll know everything. They're there. They know what's going on. They know all the doctrines. They know that there's things that are wrong, but they're going to go back because they don't have their family and they don't have the right resources, okay?
In our next point here, we have love and belonging. So let's just take a look at some of the things. Family, friendship, intimacy, sense of community, and connection. Does that sound familiar? All right, so we'll go, just think of your average Joe, right? You can come in some action. You can come in the middle, matter of fact. So we'll think of the average person's daily routine or weekly routine. What does the average person do? Go to work, have hobbies. Throughout the day, you might call mom, call dad, text your brother, sister, your friend. This is just what normal people do, right? Now in this organization, this is a ruthless organization. They plan 20 steps ahead. If you follow the rules as a Jehovah's Witness, what type of friends or family do you have?
Only
Jehovah's Witnesses, right? That's the only friends you can have. So if a day comes when you wake up and leave, we free to leave, right? But they do you like this. Oh yeah, go ahead, but wait a minute. We're gonna keep mom, dad, your kids. We are gonna hold on to all of this. They purposely do these things so that you don't have this community anymore. And it's this important to speak to people. You put a person in solitary confinement by themselves, you know what happens? They'll talk to themselves. We need somebody to talk to. Well, I'll talk to somebody that's not even really here after so long of being by myself because we need to talk to somebody. This organization knows that, so they really focus on that love and belonging.
And I'm going to tell you guys why this is such a big problem. They focus right here, right before you're able to reach the tiers of self-esteem and self-actualization. So self-esteem, this is confidence. This is your sense of achievement, respect of others, and your need to be a unique individual, okay? So what is confidence? Confidence is being sure of yourself, right? How do you gain assurance? You gain that through feedback, okay? We want to hear feedback. Whenever you work really, really hard on something and somebody takes notice of it, how does it make you feel? Yeah, it makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel like the work that you did is being valued. Now, this organization, how did it make you guys feel? How many of us felt like a shell of ourselves while being in this organization? I want to see a show of hands. How many? Look around. We heard earlier about, I don't know, there she is, not being able to do her dance and, like not being able to share and those kinds of passions. It does not matter if your community consists of 2 people or 2 billion people. It doesn't matter. What matters is if you are being valued in this community. What happens whenever you're not valued in a community? You shrink yourself. And now you have all this anxiety. You have stress. You have depression. You have PTSD because you have something in you that needs to be shared with others. You have a passion that the world needs to know about, okay? Whether it be a talent, a passion, it doesn't matter, but the world needs to know about it. And that's what creates all of that stress, all of that anxiety. So do not shrink yourself for other people, okay? Instead, join a community where you're gonna be valued. If you're a writer, go join a writer's group. If you love to read, join a book club, right? You have to do these things, and that all is going to attribute to your self-esteem and allow you to be your own unique individual, okay?
And last, we have self-actualization. This is one of our favorite ones here. So in here we have morality, acceptance, purpose, and meaning. So we'll focus on purpose and meaning. Any of us took a road trip before? Some of us took a road trip to get here, right? Think about what gets us through the road trip. We have a destination set, and we're able to maneuver through it. All right, we're going to Florida. It's a 10-hour drive. All right, halfway there. I just got to do what I just did again. All right, down to the last hour. This is what it's like having purpose in life. If you are going on a road trip with no destination for days, you don't have the same enthusiasm you will have versus having somewhere to go. That purpose and meaning that we need in life is, what am I here for? When we were in this organization, we were given a fake destination. Oh, that new system, when? You don't have a countdown, all 5 more hours. It's all, just keep driving. You'll get there, and it might be cool for the first hour, but after a while, you done driving. You sore, you squirming around, it's not the same. We need purpose and meaning in life. And we'll share a personal story with us. So we left in 2020. We watched JT and Lady C like a lot of us here did. Yup. They helped us wake up. And once we went into that rabbit hole waking up, we're like, well, this is the confirmation we need that this is a cult. We out. And we start doing the things we like to do in our life and figuring out all the things that we couldn't do as witnesses. So years down the line, we come across a YouTube video, right? And now I forget the girl's name, but it was called Why I Left Jehovah's Witnesses. So we made a couple random videos that had nothing to do with nothing here and there. So we go, hey, let's talk about that time we were Jehovah's Witnesses and do a video on that. So we did it, not thinking nobody would watch it. And thousands of people out of nowhere watched this video and said how much it meant to them, how it was relatable. Please, we appreciate anybody that watched it. Thank you so much. So people were able to flood and relate to something. And what did we find? We found purpose. So something we learned on this journey of life is whatever cards you are dealt, you just deal with it the best way you can. So right now, we're dealing with the shunning card. We all are being shunned. We can't right now force everybody to stop right now at this minute. But here with the cards dealt, what can we do? Talk about it. We grown. I'm not about to let a group of grown men tell me what I can do. They not helping with our bills. They not helping with nothing else. They don't even talk to us. These not our friends. So we are dealt these cards of being shunned. We can come together. We can talk about it. We can do whatever we want on our journey and find, our purpose. And the cards we are also dealt is we the crazy people, right? We all crazy to our friends and family. We worship Satan. Well, I've been here since, 9 o'clock? Yeah. Satan ain't showed up yet. So I think that's a lie. Ain't no Satan involved in this. So these are the cards we're dealt with being shunned, but the best we can do is to continue to stand up and speak and move forward on this journey.
To be honest, I don't have much else to add to that, but I will say shunning is extremely dangerous, especially if we don't recognize that. One, no, it's not normal. They have told us that this is normal. It is not normal for your whole family to never talk to you again, okay? And two, it's being done on purpose to back you into a corner. Do not allow another person to back you into a corner. Something about social isolation that I want to add on is that not only does it cause mental illness, but it can also cause physical illness. High blood pressure, heart issues, weakened immune system, okay? So it's having an effect not only on your mental, but your physical. And I think the most important is your loss of identity. We all want to have an identity. We all want to know who it is that we're meant to be in this world while we're here, right? And so just keep that as utmost priority, is learning and repairing your relationship with self. When you repair your relationship with self, it's only normal for you to begin overflowing in other people, okay? And that's the true purpose of this life, isn't it? I think that's about all we have to say.
I'm so glad they brought a visual aid. I'm going to give you a passing score. That was your point of counsel number 38. I don't know, I'm just making that up. But thank you guys so much for being here. I did want to ask, how long have you been a nurse?
Oh, Lord. Since 2019.
Wow, 2019. Okay. So you said, Jevin, you woke up first. What was it that woke you up?
Well, the more I started to learn about history, the less it aligned with this organization. And it was one of those, we just pushed stuff to the back of our mind for the longest. So I would sit at the meetings and there would be certain things I would see that just didn't make sense. And it wasn't until one day a sister asked me something about the convention, followed by an apostate video. Well, sister, but she was already woke. And you know how we feel with those videos, right? It's like you want to see it, but you push away. This time I didn't push away. I clicked it. I was spooked for about 5 seconds. And once he got to talking, it was just like, this is why y'all don't want us watching this stuff. And then I just went on an apostate video spree after that.
That's crazy, that term apostate. I hate that word. And so, exactly, the definition of it is crazy. So, nurse, he woke up first. So was you guys like dating? Like was this your boo? And you were like, what do you want to tell me? Like how did you wake up?
Okay, so we weren't really living as Jehovah's Witnesses, like the good kind. We were already living together. And we weren't married, weren't engaged, we were just dating. And I remember my elders actually came to me and were like, you're not allowed to live with him. I'm like, I know, but we're struggling over here. So yeah, we're living together. And so he asked me a very important question that I couldn't prove him wrong. He asked me if the 144,000 scripture, if it was literal or symbolic. And I couldn't prove him wrong. And I tried through jw.org, of course, because I don't look at outside material, okay? I'm trying to be a good Jehovah's Witness. And I wasn't able to.
So you couldn't prove that they were wrong.
I couldn't prove him wrong.
Well, him is them, right?
Yes, yes.
So many of us, have you guys researched something, it sparked your mind and you said, let me just take a peek. And then you took a peek and then the whole curtain was like, here you go. So for everyone who's here, thank you for your courage, because it does take a lot, because we are taught to not look, not listen, so much so to where it's like if something comes up, close your laptop, right? Unplug it, unplug your computer. Like the measures that we're supposed to take were pretty extreme. So I really appreciate you guys for talking about the actual physical, medical things that happen, right? Your expertise is greatly appreciated. So I'm sure if anyone else wants to talk about that, Lexi's the one to see. And then I love how Jevin is just rocking who he is, full scope. Like, look at this drip, y'all. He would not be able to do this if he was still in. Matter of fact, that t-shirt would be tucked in with a belt, right? The locks have to be shaved off. Your hat is backwards? That is so worldly. Like, how could you wear your hat backwards? Like, you would get flack for stuff like that, you know? And of course the beards. Like, we're not even gonna go there again. And then you're wearing pants. That's now allowed. Can y'all believe it? Oh, leggings. Anything showing off any bit of your natural beauty and essence of being a woman is frowned upon. So yes, thank you guys so much. Where did Ash go? She held up the sign. Thank you, Ash, for your volunteerism. I appreciate that. So our next speaker understands the right to freedom of religion, and we want to remember that not all spiritual people are bad people. So you can choose to be atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, it doesn't matter. You have the right to decide. Or maybe you just choose to be nothing, and that's okay. The problem is when you push those beliefs or any beliefs on someone else, judge them and condemn them for not thinking or believing the way that you have. So let's give him our attention. He comes with a lot of accolades as well, and he's going to definitely share some insight with us. He came all the way down from New Jersey, so let's give him a round of applause and our full attention. Thank you for being with us.
So much. Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here today. I want to thank first Janet for introducing me to her, and just 2 days ago. And matter of fact, I had some engagement. I have to say, well, and this is my assignment as a pastor. I believe, well, not just a pastor, but as an advocate. I believe that even if I was somewhere in the hole, somewhere that I was engaged to do something and I really pushed to my passion, I'm going to definitely come. And so I drove from all the way, from New Jersey, make sure that last night I was here, and I'm here. And I want for somebody to tell another person, be the voice. Tell somebody that. Be the voice.
Be the voice.
Be the voice. For the voiceless.
For the voiceless.
Be the voice. For the voiceless.
For the voiceless.
Now, if you look at the Declaration of Human Rights, the first chapter, which is chapter 1, it says everyone was born equal. If you look at the tolerant part of what we're talking here today, in that chapter also we go to chapter 18 and talk about religious tolerance. We go to 19 to talk about free speech. We go to 20, it also talk about gathering free. So when you understand that you were born equal, and then you also understand the religious tolerance. So every testimony here tonight, I mean this morning or this afternoon, It's so exciting. And if you go back and see Jesus, go back and see in Luke chapter 5 verse 17 and see what happened with the guys who their friends took their friends sick, could not get over to Jesus. And the Bible says that it took him on the rooftop. They were the voice. They were the voice. And when we say be the voice, I listened to her testimony. And when we talk about religious tolerance, we see that many of us, as pastors and leaders, religious, we become religious and not actually Christian, or not, I call myself not just a Christian, but a kingdom citizen. Because you see, it is when Paul and all the other believers spread the good news in Acts chapter 11, and you see that what happens, it was because the unbelievers saw them doing what Jesus did, and they said they are Christians. So Christian, that word comes from unbelievers. So again, people are just acting religious and not actually as Christian, or probably as a kingdom citizen. It's so exciting when I heard a number of 18,000, talking about children. You're talking about the future generation. Today, when we talk about human rights, it's an entitlement. The definition of human right, it's an entitlement for every individual. And that right must be protected by laws, guaranteed by the state. How many of us actually have realized that if we go back to call some of the Jehovah's Witnesses that are gone today, if they come back to life to tell us what actually caused them to commit suicide? As we look back here, be free to protest. Because human right is an entitlement to every individual, and that right must be protected by law, guaranteed by the state. We also have responsibility when we gather peacefully. So our coming here today is to give you a foundation. Your right is entitled to you. Thank you. And those of us who left the Jehovah's Witness, ask yourself, what happened to the others who went to the great beyond? Probably they didn't understand what was going on. They were not having the chance. But if you call them back here, like I said, Jenny, some of them will be telling you, well, it was because I was so intimidated. Probably I was stigmatized. I didn't have the time to express myself, and I didn't understand where the Jehovah's Witnesses were leading me to. So I have to commit suicide. We're talking about 100,000 every year in 2022 committed suicide in the United States. If you look at the number that's alarming, and the question is stay to us, to raise awareness, to be the voice for the voiceless. If you look at these different articles, go back to the CEDA, go back to the color, go back to all these protocols that were signed for women to protect your rights. And one of the things that as an advocate, as a consultant, I believe we promote women wear so highly. Why? Because they are like the keepers of the home. They take care of the children. They help them to grow. So as we come here today, look back. I told one of the Jehovah's Witnesses 10 years ago that I was much younger. And they came to my house. I can remember in Africa. And I look at the guy that just asked him one question. There were two. And they caused confusion among them because they could not answer the question. It's so exciting, and to the international community all over the world. I came from the Community Engagement Global Mission. I'm the president for this institution. I have the passion, but I want for us to stand as we ask ourselves this question: who am I? Where did I come from? What am I here? What can I do? And where am I going? I'm very sure that some of us ask yourself that question when you start saying some things that were not right. Go back to the scripture in the book. The Bible talk about human rights so much. In Psalm 82, it says, open your mouth for the destitute. So the gathering here today is not against anyone. It's against the thing that people do to cover up. And I was so grieving when I heard some of the thing here. Thank you for bringing this up for the Jehovah's Witness, because there are a lot of people going to their early grave only because they believe in this doctrine. It is religious. It is not Christianity. It means that we need to create more awareness. We need to have time. Can you imagine people that are separated from their families? And Christianity is relationship. That is the quick definition. Christ was always relating to people. Go back in the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 18. See what happened. He said, the Spirit of the Lord come upon me to go down those who are blind, those who are brokenhearted, to bring the good news to them. So we are here not only as a consultant. I've been in the ministry for 20 years. I tested all over the place. And not only the Jehovah's Witness, right there in the Pentecostal, right there in the charismatic churches. Women were abused. One of our great singers, brilliant singers in Africa, just lost his life last year. Why? Because the husband beat her. Powerful woman of God. She owned it every time she would call God, pray for this man to change. One day he would change. And now she's no more. Be the voice for the voiceless in our society. And the message today, I want you to understand your right is protected. It's an entitlement. And that's why we like the United States of America. And that's why we're here right before the White House. When you go back in Africa and see some of the things that people go through, disability rights have been denied. Some of these people that go to those churches, they are disabled. They don't even know their way out. And then we put them under the pretense that one day God is coming back, so let's just do the work. No blood, no, if you're sick, don't go and take treatment, just don't go to school, don't educate yourself. But the question for us under the sound of my voice today, ask yourself again, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? What can I do? And where am I going? Where are you going if you are in an institution that you don't know the whereabouts, you don't know the pointer where the arrow is going, you don't know your destination, you're just going. Every day you come and they tell you something and you're just not opening the scripture to understand that you have a right. Go back in the Declaration of Human Rights, chapter 18. Read it carefully. It tells you that religious tolerance. Religious tolerance is simple. It's you choose your thoughts, what you want to do. Now, you have responsibility to make good choices. Because when you choose, the consequences, the choices less than the consequences. So that is what happened to our society. Because we make choices, and then the consequences come upon our children. Today, I join you in our advocacy, and all of us, I want to caution you, I want to challenge you. Be the voice. Don't be intimidated. I agree that we all have some ills in our society. We have different reasons for which some of us travel to the state. I have my testimony. I've been probably looking up to that woman. Well, I was abused for many years. Sometimes women abuse their spouse. But you have right to speak out or either leave the relationship. You don't have to take this person's life. You don't have to take your own life. And I was on social media. I was telling people, I said, look, if one person deny you the right, you just tell them, well, thank God, let's cut this relationship off. And let me go, and you go your way. You don't have to commit suicide. It's society, the numbers is increasing. Children, they didn't agree with their parents. They didn't even know. But the parent put them into something that they never choose. When they got older, they realized that they were not supposed to be in that position. Now, they got stigmatized. Go back and ask the question. Make your own research. Like I said, if they would come back to life's journey, all of us here, some of them will be telling you, my mother, caused me to do this. I was stigmatized everywhere I went. People don't accept me. So I have to commit suicide. As a strategist and a human rights consultant, with all the research we are doing, you can go back and check Let them come back to life. Ask God to give them a little time to come back to give their testimony. They will tell you, even those who took their own life by gun or some harmful things, they will tell you, well, my wife treated me this way, and I didn't have no option. My husband did this to me. But you know why? We have rights. And our right is protected by law, and it should be guaranteed by the state. We are here today because we have been guaranteed by the United States of America. How many times we go to Africa or other places, they don't want us to speak. But that is our entitlement, and that is our right. And I want to caution you, those of us who are on this movement, peace. You have rights, but you have responsibility. And I'll tell people, I say, you know why? At the Community Engagement Global Mission, we believe that you have rights, but you're also responsible for the choice you make. Remember the choice you made. You have your right. Remember that the other person that you are going to also have their right. So both persons, they say human rights is defined simple. It's very simple. It's an entitlement to every individual. There is no discrimination. So that right must be protected by law, guaranteed by the state. That's why we are here today. And I want to caution you, and I want to thank you for this great work. Thank you. And I say to you, join us. Jenny and I, actually, we have the movement, and we are going to be actually having this consultancy classes, and we want you to be part of that. We want you to know more about some of the things and also share with others. It's a big movement. If everybody get to know, then of course in our community we'll be able to sound our voices for our neighbors. Some of our neighbors are going through something and we're not able to speak because, well, we don't know that we have the right to speak for them. So I want to thank you for gathering, and I'll always be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I had someone say that they really like your accent. Where are you originally from?
Well, I'm from Liberia, West Africa. Well, the country that the slave were taken, okay, and we are like the stepdaughter of America, we always say, okay, but again, I'm a Liberian, an African, and a human being. I'm a kingdom citizen. I'm not just, and I want you to carry that word today. Anybody asks you, yeah, you are Christian, but you are kingdom citizen. Don't just say Christian, because you see, Christians, that word Christian, like I said, go back in the Bible, check in Acts chapter 11. You will see something, then you'll say, oh, I see. It was the unbelievers that called Paul and the other believers, they called them Christians, only because they saw them doing good. They saw them doing what Jesus was doing. So not everybody that go to church, run into church every day, they are Christians. Or they are the people that really that want to call, we call them believers, yes, in Christ. And citizen, how many of us want to be citizens of America? All of us here, right? So if you are kingdom citizen, that means you believe in everyone. No one you should discriminate. Be able to accept everybody, work with them, and make a change in our world. Thank you.
All right. That's it. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. We have had a beautiful lineup today, and we actually have more.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
See if I can get this at the right point in front of my mouth here. You good? Get everyone here good? Fine? All right. It's definitely an honor to be back here in front of the White House, and I want to thank all of you that are here, both in person and in spirit, for helping to make this happen. It's obviously quite a somber topic that we're talking about. It is a great thing to see that we're not alone. That's one of the things that I think we all need to get across, is that we're not alone in this fight. Last year when I was up here, I spoke a little bit about my story more so, and didn't really speak much about my better half. This year I'm going to focus a bit on her story, because her story about shunning is it's potent, and it's very fitting for right now. Now, she wasn't ever too keen on public speaking as a Jehovah's Witness, so she's let me have the honor to share some of her story. Anyway, so here we go. Now, but given how many conflicts that exist globally today, it's understandable that the private battles taking place daily within countless communities across the world go unnoticed.
High control groups, such as the Jehovah's Witnesses, do not dominate the headlines, unlike wars caused by more famous extremist groups and dictators. However, these organizations are operating in plain sight, and leaders are rarely prosecuted or take responsibility for their crimes or misdeeds. Now, for the second year in a row, Victoria is here all the way from England. She's here to fight for human rights of those who have suffered in silence. The goal is to educate the public and those in power about the abusive nature of high control groups and the cost to society as a whole. Now, Victoria's journey began when she was born into the Jehovah's Witnesses. From a young age, she witnessed and was a victim of various forms of abuse at home and in her church community. As a child, there were no options available to get away from or expose the control of her behavior, thoughts, emotions, and her access to information. This theft of individual liberty is at the very core of the Jehovah's Witnesses' agenda. Due to the fact that Victoria had been baptized as a Jehovah's Witness at the age of 13, meant that there was no way to leave the religion without losing her entire social support network, to include her family. I ask you to think about that for a moment. A 13-year-old girl, a child, got baptized because that is what is expected of a Jehovah's Witness child. The Jehovah's Witnesses treat this as a legally binding contract for life. There is no way to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses without losing everything once you have been baptized as one, regardless of the age of said baptism. Now, by the age of 19, years of trauma were taking their toll, and Victoria took the brave decision to no longer be a part of the Jehovah's Witnesses. A heavy price was paid for following her conscience and doing the right thing. Her belongings were put into bin liners. By her parents, she was kicked out of her childhood home. She was told that her family would not be there for her unless she returned to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Victoria was thrown to the wolves and treated as already dead. Now, Victoria's experience is a bad enough indictment as a standalone case about a high control group. But we're all here together because it's not a standalone case. This is a norm that we have all witnessed and all been traumatized by. Now, given that it's so common worldwide, and you just throw in my case. So you take a look at me for a second, and look at what shaped my life, the course that my life took. It is large part due to
really
the Jehovah's Witnesses and the abuses
dad
I
on your
suffered.
channel sometime. He's an ex-elder.
I was,
And
I'm like you said, I was retired from the U.S. Army.
I will.
I was 9/11 first responder.
Because I interviewed him on my channel. And we
combat
talked about
veteran.
1975.
Oh, boy.
And some of the things that he
And
did as an elder,
I also
though,
worked in
weren't
the
common
special
for what
operations
elders should do.
community for a
Because
few
my
years.
brother was disfellowshipped at one time.
And I was raised as a
and he was
Jehovah's
encouraged
Witness,
to kick him out of
having
the
undergone
house,
some
and he
fairly
never
extreme
did.
CSA.
He was lucky because the other
Now,
elders
what the
didn't jump on
witnesses
him and
didn't
beat him
provide
up.
for me, I had to provide for myself, which is safety.
Because, man, some other congregations...
And that's
they
why we're all
in fact,
here,
they wouldn't even
to
ask
help
you. They
protect
would,
the
they would just
safety of
strip you of
children
your
like
eldership
me
on
and
the
Victoria and
I
all
know.
the other all of us
And
out standing
that's
here as
really
well.
the problem, is that there is no consistency.
Now, Victoria and my story...
On some bodies of elders, the elders are friends. So
it goes back...
It goes one way. On other bodies of elders,
well, we
they
met
hate
as
each other.
teenagers.
And
Our
if your
families were
child gets in
selected
trouble, I
to
can't
go
wait.
to an international
'cause
Jehovah's
I'm gonna
Witness
get you.
convention in
It's
1993.
like my wife and I.
And once Vicky and
we
I
did
met,
what we
it
weren't
was love
supposed
at
to do
first sight
before
for
marriage,
us.
right?
We were each other's first
And when my
kiss,
father-in-law
first
found
love.
out, his
But
words
unfortunately,
were,
life
"How
got
could
in
you
the
do
way.
this to me?"
We found each other again.
I'm
back
dead
in 2020.
serious. And
Our story
guess that's
is one of
about right.
healing.
But
and
after leaving, I
post-traumatic
see why he
growth.
said that,
can see
because
After a lifetime
he was scared of
dealing
losing
with
his
complex
position.
PTSD.
Those
It is
positions
about,
and those
our
titles,
story
man,
is
they
about
hold them over people like
knowing
carrots
that you are
on
not
a
alone
stick, man.
and of
Oh, yeah.
love overcoming all. Vicky and I wrote a poem together a few months ago.
Yeah, but
We're going to share it with
I'll
you.
shoot. I'll reach out
She's
to you.
agreed to read the poem for us. so-
I didn't tell him that. I didn't know you guys were
Come
going
on
to be
up
here.
here.
So, but my dad's not afraid to get on camera and talk either. He's a talker. I'll tell you. Oh yeah.
It's been a very, very long time. Shunning. What a loving arrangement from Jehovah. It chokes and squeezes and crushes and pummels until 100 times.
And your wife both out?
It feels
Yes.
like you've been run over.
I
Through
was
all
lucky.
the
My wife
traumas,
never
the
believed it.
cancer
She
and
only
the
stayed in
rape,
because of me.
all we ever
And
wanted
so
was a
when I
swift of
finally
your
woke
love.
up and
What
was
is it
ready to
gonna take?
leave, she was like, okay.
Thank you for showing us the conditions of your love. We see the irony of it all, and hand in hand, we rise above.
I was waiting for you to leave.
You expect us to
My wife
sugarcoat or whitewash
waited
the graves of the
14
past.
years of our marriage.
For a truth teller, that is an impossible task.
For the most part, most witnesses go along.
You know
just
what
to
you're
get
doing
along.
with your divisive
Yeah.
drivel? You know what it does to deny a soul the
And if you
most
ever want, I'll
important
come on your
things
channel
which are
too.
right down the road.
You know, I
yet
run YouTube channels too,
intangible.
so.
you know.
Shunning
Yeah, oh
is
yeah.
not an act of love, but the absence of all natural affection. You say that you don't believe in
What's your
hell,
last name?
but purgatory.
Winner, like not
you
a
fill
loser.
up with no discretion. Your shunning and hate and evil spread like a virus.
Yeah, I've
or
only been living in
disease.
Virginia
You
since
create deep
2013.
scars and upturn lives with extreme ease. You say
Where-
to
where
be
were you
like the
coming from?
Samaritan and
Florida.
save your fellow man.
Yeah.
But wait,
Right,
we were left
just
for
near
dead once,
Tampa, north of Tampa.
and then over again.
Do you know where
A couple
Wishy-Washy
lives
is?
down. Thank God I have
Wiki-Washy.
spare.
Yeah.
After the life that I have
My
lived,
uncle
there
lives
is
there
more
now.
trauma than I wish to
He's there about a
share.
year, about 2 years. Almost 2
I
years.
know what it is to be
I used to know
broken
somebody who
and
was one of the
shattered
mermaids
and
at
down
Wiki-Washy
on the
there.
in a gutter.
The
Sometimes the
mermaids,
darkness
it's
creeps in,
It's my aunt says.
and
"The
you wish
mermaids
this
are-"
life would stop feeling like a stutter.
Yeah, Wiki-Washy was
You
probably
left me for
about
dead as I
40 minutes
awaited
from where
my
I live.
fate in a hospital gown.
It's like a little small
Why do you
incorporated
push?
township.
Yeah.
And try to
yeah.
help me
Not a
drown.
major city, but it's just like a little bedroom community.
Yeah.
One of the tenets of your religion is the hope to see and live with love's long lost. I am confused and at a loss, as your child is right in front of you, but you're
But seriously,
unable
thanks
to
for all
help
you
us.
guys do too, because
Hey, man.
your channel's been
The
awesome,
cruelty
like
of
consistently.
COVID
Everybody
caused
has-
moral uproar as
the
family and
whole-
loved ones were
the
doomed to
whole
die alone in
creative
the cold.
community of former witnesses
For
putting out this stuff.
decade upon
It's killing to
decade,
watch
this
that.
is just
Oh, yeah.
business as normal
And the
for
real thing
Jehovah's
is,
Witnesses,
It,
both
it,
young
it
and
shows
old.
that there's a serious breach
Die
within the
quietly,
organization.
they tell us,
Mm-hmm.
as
There are
they
a lot
shame
of
and scold.
Elders, circuit
Just come back to
overseers,
Jehovah.
people
You
in
can
key
come in from the
positions
cold.
that as soon as they get their hands on a document,
You
they
can go
upload it.
sod
They
off.
upload it. They
That's the
upload
response I choose to say.
It. And anybody knows anything about
I
this
will not sell
organization,
my soul
keeping
now
stuff
or on any day.
confidential.
Not a
It's always
chance,
been
I
how
say
they
to
have
your
done what they've done.
narcissistic,
Oh, yeah.
Now people are like, I'm
conditional
gonna tell
love.
somebody about this crazy
I'm done
stuff.
being trauma bonded. I rise
And because
above.
of that, so many people have woken up and
Isaiah
left and
warns of
seen
you
right
with
through their
words so
tactics.
simple and true. You swap evil for good, darkness for light, and bitter for sweet
I mean,
too.
if it wasn't for YouTube
You
activists,
are
I
a
wouldn't be here right
walking,
now.
Neither would I. Neither
talking,
would I.
moral injury, both for your organisation and anyone in society. You cause catastrophic damage and mayhem, just like an IED that explodes at the knee.
You guys
To
ever
be
travel
shunned
down to
is
Norfolk,
to be a
Kenny?
ghost and live
A little bit, not
incorporeal
much.
like a
Little bit,
shadow.
a couple of times, but
It is
COVID
our
kinda
life
killed
well
everything
lived
for
that will
everybody.
haunt
Yeah.
loved
We used to do
ones
a lot of
that
traveling
so
before,
easily let us
and
go.
we really haven't got back into
Shunning.
travel as much as we would like to.
What a loving arrangement from Jehovah, they say.
So
In
that's what we
reality,
would like to do there.
shunning is a hateful punishment
Oh, if you ever come down
that
that
is
way,
intended
hit me
to
up. We can get
torture
together.
every day.
Yeah, that helps explain a few things about what we're fighting against, I suppose.
Yep.
Whilst the cost to the lives of victims of such abuse is immeasurable, we can see the financial impact. According to a study earlier this year, it is estimated that the cost to the U.S. economy of mental illness is $282 billion per year. This is an alarming statistic that should pique the interest of the public and lawmakers alike. Victims of high control groups will undoubtedly contribute to that figure. We should all be looking for ways to mitigate this cost to society. Tax-free organizations that contribute to this epidemic should also start to share the cost of mental ill health. Recently in Norway and the Netherlands, the Jehovah's Witnesses have lost their state funding for violating human rights. Let's hope. Yes, exactly. That's something to cheer for right there, right?
They're working on it in Lithuania too.
Yeah, we got more countries coming down the pipeline for sure with that, and we're going to make that impact, all of us together. Oh, the reason this protest is happening during this week and this month is suicide prevention. Shunning leads to suicide for some. Wait for the truck to go by. So shunning does lead to suicide for some. Can't really state it more concisely than that. We, as a society, should not be allowing this to happen. We cannot leave out that our freedom of religion has been and is still being violated. The Watchtower openly admits that no one should have to choose between their family and their religion. It could not be more ironic that they printed that sentence, as that is what is required of all Jehovah's Witnesses. There is no freedom of religion if said religion holds all your friends and family hostage for not holding to their beliefs. I suggest that it is time for the government to hold 501c3s accountable for their actions, those openly contributing to our mental health crisis and violating one of the sacred tenets of our society that this nation was built upon. Well, they should be held to account. We should not allow such organizations to remain tax-free as they continue to create more burden and hardship for the taxpayers of this nation. Now, you might have heard me mention a minute ago, talking about Victoria and I, the concept of post-traumatic growth, PTG. Now, everyone's heard of PTSD, right? Everyone knows this. We're all familiar with it. We've all been through trauma. And the concept of post-traumatic growth, a simple way to say it would probably be what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you can learn from those lessons and grow from the hardship. I think it was Thucydides, an ancient Greek Stoic, that said, we must remember that one man is much the same as the next, and he that is trained in the severest school, and he is best that is trained in the severest school. Sorry, I messed up the quote a little. But the whole point of that is, if you've gone through a lot, you've gone through trauma, think of the ancient stories we have of the Stoics and the greats. It was always this epic journey. There was always hardship and trauma. It was always trauma-based, and then come back to show your community how to grow from that. On that note, I brought a number of copies of this book, Struggle Well. I would like everyone that can, I got about 40 or so with me. I'd like everyone to leave with a copy that wants one. Now, it does have a picture of a soldier on the front. It says, Struggle Well, Thriving in the Aftermath of Trauma. But don't be fooled, this isn't just for soldiers. It was actually my active Jehovah's Witness sister that first pointed this book out to me and was a huge part in my healing in a weird turn of events, right? So this book is just about thriving and healing from trauma. Again, post-traumatic growth. So I would really love for everyone that can, I got them in a cart right over there. Anyone that wants one or thinks someone might want one, this helps with suicide prevention. It helps just build you a network, give you the information and education that we didn't get as Jehovah's Witnesses. So this book changed my life, and that's why I brought some copies. Just want to give them out. So, yeah.
Thank you, Will, especially for your generosity and consideration. We were all just talking about creating a little book club, so I'm sure we all have a list of things that we use and read to be able to help us get through. So I kind of wanted to ask you more about this this battery, like the guard that you're in. I've never heard about that. Like, what is that?
Oh, I'm retired now. This was back during 9/11. The Presidential Salute Battery, we fire cannons and do like typical military missions around DC for security as well. But we, anytime you see the president coming out for, like, let's say, laying a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery, and we fire the 21-gun salute using a mix of 3-inch anti-tank guns on a howitzer chassis from World War II. They're owned by the Smithsonian. That part doesn't matter, but so we're the ceremonial and security forces basically for the DC area, and that was 4th of July. I don't know if you've seen the big 4th of July, the fireworks and all that, and the cannons that fire on the mall. That was us doing that as well. So it's a lot of ceremonial mixed with obviously some security as well.
Well, we thank you for doing what you did. And that was a voluntary position, obviously. You didn't have to go into the forces. And now that you're retired, I'm sure they're not shunning you. Right? They're not shunning you. Well, we thank you again. We appreciate that. You guys be sure to grab a book, whether it's for yourself or someone else. We also have one more speaker, just in the interest of time. His name is Pablo. We want to invite him up. He was born in and raised in New Mexico City, but lives in Minneapolis now for over 25 years. And like others here, he was also a window washer in his previous life. He's also a part of the StopMandatedShunning.org movement, which Liberated Consciousness is proud to be a partner with as well. So let's give Pablo our attention.
Try to be very brief. So we are all here in representation of many families that are being deeply harmed by shunning. I am also here to speak about an important initiative called Stop Mandated Shunning. And why do I say mandated shunning? As most of you know, shunning among Jehovah's Witnesses and other high control groups is not optional. If you do not comply, you will suffer criticism, loss of social status, and privileges. And you often will be shunned yourself. This is an abuse of free will. This is not a personal choice, but a requirement, a mandate. But how do we prove that this type of group bullying is mandatory? And how do we prove it is a hate crime that causes damage to millions of people and can even lead to death by suicide? For this, we need good data. We need qualitative and quantitative data that is gathered and evaluated by professional academics. We also need attorneys and lawmakers who ensure there are laws to protect basic human rights and protect people from coercion. Recent legal victories against mandated shunning have been won in Norway and in Spain. But data, research, and laws have not been available to help us here in the United States. To stop mandated shunning, the Stop Mandated Shunning project will change that. They have legal initiatives, data gathering initiatives, and a huge comprehensive research project based out of Roehampton University in the UK. These efforts will benefit all of us. So I invite you to support this initiative by taking the 10-question survey and by sharing your personal shunning story. Please do so at StopMandatedShunning.org. StopMandatedShunning.org. Some information is available in Spanish also. In conclusion of this talk, I want to say that good things take time. Change takes time. But if we persevere, if we are adaptable, and if we cooperate and coordinate with others, change will happen. May it won't happen as quickly as we wish. Maybe our efforts will help future generations, and people we don't even know will be helped. But change will happen, and we can be part of it now.